Morning, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're watching this recording. Um, Today, I'm going to be going over my small business information security um, research project that I conducted. And the research project was part of my capstone project for my master's degree in under Sam Houston State University. So go to the next slide. Um, this is just the outline of what we're going to be talking about. So I wanted to go over with you just some details about myself. I believe it's important to give you kind of the background of where I'm coming from and kind of why I chose to look into small business and small to medium-sized business information security. So my name is Louis, and uh, I'm from New York, originally from New York, but I lived in Texas for quite a while. Um, what do I do for a living? I work in the cybersecurity field. I work for a higher education institution, actually, and I work for the computer science department. So it was a very high interest to myself to pursue a master's degree in information security, so I can ensure that I am staying current on emerging trends and technologies with my coworkers and staff and faculty here in the computer science department. So what do I do for fun? I'm a dad. That's the most fun job in the world. I also work on cars. I'm very mechanical, and I really enjoy just computers. Anything IT related. One of my strong suits is compliance. It's what I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. I try to always enable the customer instead of just telling them no. I tell them how we can get to yes, and I believe that's very important. So quickly, we're just going to go over the introduction. I wanted to look at replacing the traditional on-premises cybersecurity team or cell that you would have at a small to medium-sized organization, or maybe even you would outsource it to a contracted company to do that for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the cost of what a traditional IT model would cost you, and then look at what you can outsource to a security as a service, cloud service provider, and just take that off your plate completely. That way you can focus more on whatever your business goals and mission is. I'm going to leave it on here on this slide real quick for a second. Make sure you can read it. Okay, next slide. So I made up a company called Catskill Mechanical. It's a medium-sized company. They have 137 employees, and they complete almost $500,000 of contracts each month. Which is a great number for them. However, the business is doing really well, and they're predicted to double in size 36 months. So they're looking at how the current IT infrastructure scales and whether they need to look at a cloud service provider as a security as a service provider. And the reason for that is, as their business scales, can their on-prem IT keep up? So I'm going to pause here for a second, let you read the slide. Okay, so again, like I said before, the trending pattern right now is a migration to the cloud. You see it everywhere. Federal agencies, state and local government, higher learning, everyone's moving to the cloud because not only is it a form of distributed computing, so they basically are giving themselves a continuity of operations plan and a DRP at the same time as they are expanding their capabilities. So it really is a solid model for some businesses and for some organizations. It's not one size fits all. There is kind of the lower initial costs, and then we don't know what once they got you in and you're a full Microsoft shop, full Amazon shop, a full Google shop. We don't know what the maintenance cost eventually will become because right now it's all too new. So the justification, failure to keep up with technology leaves an organization at a disadvantage. Given the fact that their competitors will be having competitive advantage courtesy of the new and more reliable technologies, the market will have to adopt it, and it is therefore important for Catskill Mechanical to keep up with the technology for both efficient and competitive purposes. Just basically, you don't want to get left behind. You see that very often. Currently, right now, the Department of Defense for the United States and multiple agencies that work for the government are rapidly fielding cloud pilots because for the last 10 years, they did not want to partake in the cloud. They wanted to keep all their data and all their systems in-house. After they see that cloud can be done securely, they are starting to look at that as a risk transference and also as a better way of doing business where the information that they need and require for their jobs is available, anywhere, anytime, as long as you meet the, authentication requirements. I'm gonna pause here for a minute. I'm sorry, not a minute, a second. Okay, next slide. So what I looked at currently, and I believe the name might have changed. It's not Microsoft 365 Business Premium now. I think it might be just Microsoft 365 Premium or Business, one of the two, but that's irrelevant. So what I looked at was the cost per employee and what your commitment would be. So if you were to get Microsoft 365 and all the add-ons for, I believe it was E3, which was the level, you would be spending $32,000 annually. So for traditional IT support, on average, in normal IT starting position, from my research, it was about $58,000 per employee. So that's just for a base employee. You're not talking somebody with a specialized skill set. So you can see how that can quickly scale up and cost an organization a lot of money, not only in personnel, but now you have personnel that are going to want services and appliances to secure your data. And pause here for a second. Okay, next slide. So what you have to look at is kind of what do you get when you outsource to your security as a service provider. Microsoft 365, it covers not only does it provide you your Office suite, right? But you're also getting the Defender suite. You're getting the threat protection, which advanced threat protection ties into their threat protection cloud. And so you're getting their Windows Defender, Exploit Guard. You're getting BitLocker. You are getting a SIEM that keeps track of more data than you can ever imagine, and it is very impressive what you get for what you pay, compared to if you were to stand those resources up on your own. Next slide. One of the main advantages of moving to a security as a service provider, and in this for this research analysis, I chose Microsoft Business Protection. I'm sorry if I didn't cover that before, but you have other options. You're not tied to Microsoft just because you're using Microsoft Office or something like that. So what I want to discuss here is you have mobile device management. Now, what does MDM do for you? MDM allows you to enroll your employees' BYOD devices, so that you're no longer buying an iPad for your employee. If he already has an iPad, he could just use that. You're no longer, paying for a phone so your people can check their email on their phone or something like that. If they agree to the comply to connect rules and they let you load the security profile on their device, then they have all your company resources on your phone. Yes, there is some trade-off for that person that they have to trust that the corporation is not going to do anything scandalous with your private data, but you don't really see the corporation doesn't see the private data that is outside of the Office type suites. So if you put something private in your corporate email, then yes, the corporation will see that. But the corporation will not see your like Gmail, for example. So MDM enables you to basically fully roll out BYOD devices in your environment with low risk, low overhead, and it's actually a really useful tool. Pause here for a second in case you want to read the slide and see if anything I missed. Okay. So again, why Microsoft? One of the things that I thought of is you own it. You own Microsoft Office. Majority of your organizations out there use Microsoft Office. You know, there are other competitors out there that provide services like G Suite and stuff like that, but the majority is, you know, Microsoft Office is how we do business right now these days. So Microsoft has made it extremely difficult to do business without purchasing the 365 suites. So you look at what you're paying for a volume license for Microsoft for, you know, just your Office 365 suite, and then you look at what you can pay a little bit extra and get the whole suite. It just dollars to cents. It makes more sense to get the complete suite and change your strategic direction from manning your IT help desk with, you know, doers and stuff like that, to manning it to personnel that would audit compliance, ensure that, you know, that the Azure environment and the MDM environment and the Intune environment is doing what the corporate strategic direction is for information security and data security and, you know, intellectual property security. So I kind of mentioned this earlier. One of the things that is really attractive about a security as a service cloud service provider like Microsoft is that you're getting a tremendous value for dollar. Not only are you able to secure your data, access it from anywhere, but you have built in a DRP and COOP, and technically, like right now, without the heavy emphasis over the last 3 or 4 years to the migration to cloud, the COVID-19 situation for people working from home would be disastrous. So in context, for a small to medium-sized organization, the security as a service model is the most suitable IT security management approach. This can be attributed to the following main advantages, and I kind of covered these while I spoke earlier. I really didn't want to read from the slides, by the way. I just kind of wanted to speak from my experience, my research, and my professional experience as a Azure architect currently right now. Centralized console and thus simplified provision and administration. So what does that mean? That means you can log into devicemanagement.microsoft.com and you could see pretty much everything about your tenant. You could see where this specific user is logged into. You can get their BitLocker key for them. You can see what software they have loaded on their computer. You can deploy software all from a centralized dashboard. You can pull all sorts of data queries. It really is impressive the amount of data that you can pull from there. So the next bullet is latest and or most constantly updated security resources. So what does that mean to you? That means that your Office 365 solution and Defender, ATP, and Microsoft Windows, your whole complete environment is being updated nonstop. You know, along with any changes that you need to make, you can deploy to your systems out in real time. Because Azure Active Directory doesn't require that system to be connected to the corporate network via VPN. Once it pings on the internet, it's going to make that change. So highly skilled and dedicated expertise, opportunity to focus on core enterprise competencies and strategic business objectives. So this is what I kind of talked about earlier about if you don't have to focus on your IT security because you know it's good, then you could focus on making money. You can focus on improving your products, increasing your clientele, increasing your what's it called? your advertising, increasing your brand exposure, you can focus on all that because you're good. You don't have to worry about your data being breached. And finally, greater scalability. So your company explodes overnight in size wise and you need to scale your information security needs, you can do so. That's how good these cloud service providers are. It's all about whipping out the additional funds and going ahead and just executing that. Once you're done with that, then you would go ahead and complete your cost cutting analysis, not cost analysis, your cost benefit analysis, and you would compare the two between your two different solutions, which is your sorry about that, I got distracted because my phone was going off. But you compare between your traditional model and your cloud service model, and your cloud service is going to come out on top. Well, that's all I got. I appreciate you guys' time. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my in class. I'll have my paper as well uploaded to ISCFS for your review. And again, I really appreciate it. And greetings from New York/Texas. Got my my Texas is Forever shirt. And you guys take care and thank you very much.